Welcome to CNN Student News. I'm Carl Azus. First up, a major speech by a world leader. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu appeared before the U.S. Congress yesterday. Usually the White House is consulted before Congress invites a world leader to speak. But Republican House Speaker John Boehner didn't tell the president before this invitation. And one subject covered by Prime Minister Netanyahu is something President Obama strongly disagrees with. More than 50 of the 232 Democrats in Congress boycotted the speech, though the public galleries were standing room only. Prime Minister Netanyahu is up for re-election on March 17th. How did he get to where he is?
In 1949, just 1 year after the State of Israel was founded, Benjamin Netanyahu was born. He would come to be known by his nickname, Bibi. Netanyahu spent part of his teen years in the United States, where his father taught Jewish history at Cornell University. He served for 6 years in the Israeli army in an elite commando unit until he was wounded in a rescue operation during an airplane hijacking in 1972. He returned to the U.S. earning degrees in architecture and business from MIT. But a dramatic event in 1976 would have a lasting effect. Netanyahu's brother, Yonatan, was killed in a raid to free hostages from an Air France jet which had been hijacked by pro-Palestinian terrorists. His death had a profound effect on Netanyahu, who founded an anti-terror institute named after his brother and became quite outspoken about the threat posed by terrorism. Now, this attracted the attention of prominent Israeli officials, setting the course for his future career in politics. Netanyahu was given high-profile diplomatic assignments in Washington and New York and started making frequent appearances on U.S. talk shows. In 1988, he returned to Israel and was elected to the Israeli parliament, the Knesset. In 1996, he became the country's youngest prime minister shortly after the assassination of Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin. But he was defeated 3 years later after signing an interim peace agreement with then-Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat. Now, Netanyahu eventually returned to politics and moved back up the ranks of the Likud party, becoming prime minister again in 2009.
This is a bomb.
Netanyahu's emphasis on security, particularly speaking out loudly on Iran and his counteroffensives against Hamas in Gaza, have boosted his popularity in Israel. But a peace deal with the Palestinians remains elusive, and Netanyahu is finding himself increasingly alienated from Western partners, most significantly the United States. He shied away from being called a survivor, but Netanyahu's ability to weather crisis with his savvy television skills and use of the media have earned him the label the Teflon Prime Minister.
When he spoke on Capitol Hill, Prime Minister Netanyahu said he never intended for his visit to be political, but that he was addressing a subject that could threaten his country. That subject, a deal the Obama administration is working on with Iran over the Middle Eastern nation's controversial nuclear program. The White House is pushing Iran to put this program on hold. It wants Iran to allow international inspectors to make sure the country doesn't make a nuclear weapon. In exchange, the U.S. would lift its economic sanctions, its penalties on Iran over the program. But Israel's leader calls the potential deal a bad one, saying Iran will cheat and make a weapon anyway. Iran has threatened Israel in the past, and Prime Minister Netanyahu says the Obama administration's deal would leave Israel in grave trouble.
So this deal won't change Iran for the better. It will only change the Middle East for the worse. A deal that's supposed to prevent nuclear proliferation would instead spark a nuclear arms race in the most dangerous part of the planet. This deal won't be a farewell to arms. It would be a farewell to arms control.
The White House, whose relations with Israel are strained, says the Prime Minister's speech was all talk and no action.
If we're successful negotiating, then in fact this will be the best deal possible to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Nothing else comes close. Sanctions won't do it. Even military action would not be as successful as the deal that we have put forward.
The Obama administration's discussions on a deal with Iran are nearing their last stage in Switzerland. What exactly does everyone want?
So what does a good deal look like? Supporters, including the administration, say a deal would restrict Iran's path to a nuclear bomb and extend the time it would need to embark on a weapons program, the so-called breakout period, to a year, all while allowing a civilian nuclear program under international monitoring, much like the interim agreement signed in November 2013. Opponents, including Prime Minister Netanyahu and some U.S. lawmakers, say the only way to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon is to end Iran's nuclear program altogether, particularly in light of Iran's past cheating. The IAEA said Iran still has not provided information on past efforts to research weaponization.
We have asked questions, and questions are clear, so they can answer.
Trouble is, Iran says it will never give up its nuclear program entirely, meaning that if no deal is reached, military action and perhaps war could follow. Even as the gaps narrowed, another key disagreement was exposed. If there is agreement, the West wants sanctions lifted gradually to retain leverage. But Iran wants the sanctions lifted altogether right away.
Our negotiating partners, particularly the Western countries and particularly the United States, must once and for all come to the political understanding that sanctions and agreement don't go together.
On yesterday's transcript page at cnnstudentnews.com, here are 3 of the schools that requested a mention on our roll call. Limoges is a city in central France. We're happy to be part of your day at Lycée Auguste Renoir. Fordville is a city in North Dakota. The Flyers are aloft there at Fordville Lincoln High School. And one state west in Montana, it's the Grizzlies who round out our roll. They're at Arrowhead Middle School in the community of Prey. You might have seen bumper stickers that say hang up and drive. Maybe you've been to the website. It includes a statistic that says 13.5 million American drivers are using a cell phone at any given moment. In fact, its co-founder says she guesses she's just another statistic.
Being stubborn may have saved J.C. Good's life.
My mom didn't appreciate it nearly enough. I think it's my best characteristic.
In 2008, on the day she graduated from college, J.C. and her parents were in a car accident caused by a teenager talking on his cell phone. Her mom and dad were killed. J.C. was given a 10% chance of survival.
My pelvis was shattered, I had a damaged liver, my lungs were both partially collapsed, and I had a traumatic brain injury which put me on the edge of death.
J.C. fought back, refusing to give in.
I wanted my life back. In college, I had the reputation that I was the one who was going to save the world.
Her call to action came after the driver who caused the accident wasn't convicted. There was no law against the use of cell phones.
I spoke at a press conference in Pennsylvania, trying to get a handheld ban and a texting ban. Finally, it went into effect that texting and driving is illegal. It was a Sunday morning.
And now the 28-year-old also speaks around the country to raise awareness about the dangers of using a phone behind the wheel.
I am so grateful that I still have everything that I do have, in spite of having lost so much. Part of life is getting hurt. None of us escape unscathed. I survived for a reason and with a purpose, to use my time on this planet to make some other lives a little bit better.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN, reporting.
Huntington Beach, California. The high temperature Monday was 62, the low was 50. So how in the natural world did this happen? It fell from the sky. But it wasn't snow. A very unusual hailstorm struck the beach in Orange County, left about half an inch of hail on the sand. And it stuck around long enough for people to build snowmen, have snowball fights, do a little snowshoeing, basically have fun in the snow without having to leave Southern California. Beach, ya didn't see that coming. After all, it's not SoCal, and they sure wouldn't expect to weather snow there. It's a coastal story that's peerless. You know it's going to make waves. All hail the puns. I'm Carl Azus for CNN Student News. Hope to see you tomorrow.